how old were you when you asked Mom to marry you?
You mean the first time?
How many times did you have to ask?
Oh, hell, I must have asked her. I have no idea.
How many
times.
Oh, yes, I bet you know exactly how many. How many?
No, I don't know. I tried to talk her into marrying me a number of times. And she wanted to be a nurse, and that was the first thing to get done. But yeah, no, I asked her more than once, I'm sure.
I think I asked Tammy 5 times.
Well, I don't think you have the record, but I'm not sure.
She asked me once too, so that worked out okay. The final analysis.
Oh, well, I don't
she
recall
actually,
Beverly asked.
She actually, well, she had come to Montreal to live with me, and we had discussed getting married, but she felt it was time, and she actually asked me on, isn't it Sadie Hawkins Day? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
we didn't even know it. We didn't even know it. It just happened that way.
Didn't even know it.
No. Yeah, so that was pretty funny.
Little Abner was just as real as Santa Claus, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I said
that was
yes.
a good deal.
It was a good deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good deal.
Would you say that you've had a happy marriage?
Yep, I would say I have had a happy marriage.
What was more important to you, your family or your career?
Oh, no doubt at all. Family.
What was the best years you spent with your family?
Well, I think the best years were the years that you guys were home and growing up. They were great years.
And of those years, younger kids, older kids, what was better for you?
Oh, I can't say that because it was all good. No, there's no doubt. That was the best time of my life.
Why?
Oh, who knows why?
Come on.
I think it's instinctive for some people.
Yeah, well, you're really good with little kids.
Well, there was, no doubt. Yeah.
You seem to trust them.
Well, I seem to be relatively good at that, yeah. And most little kids trusted me.
Yeah.
Not very many that I had shy away from me.
So you spent a lot of time with me when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that particularly?
Well, what can I say? What do I remember about it? I don't know. I remember quite a few things, but I don't know if any of them are god-awful important, you know?
Well, pick one.
Well, I remember the time that we hatched those chicks in the porch.
In Nipawin.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember driving home with you to Nacum a number of times and talking the whole time because you'd never stop asking questions.
Yeah, well, hasn't changed much.
No, I know.
You kind of are who you are.
Yeah, that's right. No, there were lots of good times, Jordan. All good times.
I think I remember mostly when I was a little kid reading with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that was great. That was so much fun.
I thought so. Because what I remember, I was pretty little, but what I remember is that, well, first of all, we had a Dr. Seuss book come, every week or something like that, because we were in a book club. And you used to come home every night. And after dinner, we would lay on the rug. We had one of those hooked rugs. And we'd lay on the rug and you'd put your arm around me and away we'd go through one or two books. And you taught me to read, and I remember that going on for quite a long time. And it was wonderful to have the attention and to be given that gift of literacy as well, and to have it instilled in me in such a young age. I loved reading. It's really shaped my life in every possible way. So, and I remember, one of the things that was different about you, we had our differences when I was a teenager. It sounds kind of like the ones you had with your dad, both stubborn. And I had hanging around with rough kids. And we misbehaved a lot of drinking and that sort of thing, and you put up with them. That's about all you should have done, really, I suppose. But most of my friends, they didn't have a good relationship with their fathers. They had no respect for them. And it was,
I know.
Yeah, it was really rough on them, those my friends. Those are my teenage friends, or, the ones in junior high. Particularly.
Yeah, I know.
And, when we were alone with my friends, they'd have a bad interaction with their dad or something, and they'd be pretty hard on him, badmouth him. And I could tell they were mad, bitter, resentful, angry about it. And they had their reasons, or hurt by it, or a combination of all those things, disappointed. But I never felt that way. Even when we had altercations.
Yeah.
I knew that fundamentally, despite whatever altercations we might have, that you were on the side of my better angels, let's say.
Well.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing to manage,
Always that.
Yeah, but it's a tricky thing to manage because when you have kids, you kind of, on the one hand, you want to like the kid, but on the other hand, you want to like the kid that they could be even better. So you have to kind of balance that acceptance for and appreciation for who they are right now with a desire to foster further development. And I think mothers sort of specialize in the former and dads to some degree specialize in the latter. It's not that cut and dried, obviously. But the fact that you had belief in my potential has always been of inestimable value. And one of the things that really hurt me when I went on tour and talked to so many people was that was so lacking for so many people. They didn't have someone who really had their back, like really, when the chips were down. Both you and Mom, I knew of that. I knew that was true. And that gives you kind of a foundation underneath you, Well, you obviously had it with your grandparents and your mother.
Yep.
I don't know what it would be like to grow up without that. You'd be pretty lost, pretty alone.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt it would be tough. Anyhow, Mom and I always said we were young and dumb, so everything goes well.
Yeah, well, what's been the most challenging part of your marriage, Dad? What's been the most challenging part of being married? Because you've been married how long now?
I don't know, 64 years, something like that.
Yeah, well, that's a long time.
We got married in 60. What does that make it?
61.
61.
Yeah, well, it just feels like 64.
Yeah, it just feels like 64.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most challenging thing. Jesus. I don't know. I guess maybe the most challenging thing is trying to be a decent person, because I have a lot of trouble with that.
What do you mean?
Well, just that.
What do you have to control?
I'm very stubborn. I guess probably quite opinionated. And very vocal. All those things can cause problems, and I know that they've caused problems for your mom.
Yeah, well, Mom's kind of gentle person, although she's got a spine.
Yep, she's a good person.
Yeah, she is a good person. She's easy to get along with. She laughs a lot. She's friendly, outgoing. Yeah, I can't ever remember really having a fight with Mom, you know? And when we were kids and we used to make her upset, you know, because we were rambunctioning around too much. And we made her upset, that always made us feel guilty because, you know, Mom didn't get upset. If you made Mom upset, you were probably being bad. So we just feel guilty about it. So, yeah, well, you know, being stubborn and opinionated and assertive has its virtues too.
Well, may have its virtues, but they are making it very difficult for us.
Yeah, well, it's not easy to negotiate continually with someone under the same house. And you and Mom are quite different in many ways too. So you have those temperamental divides to cross. I mean, she's more extroverted and social than you are.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was extroverted and social.
No, well, you took my personality test, right? And I mean, you were assertive on the extroverted scale, but low in enthusiasm, whereas Mom is high in enthusiasm and not as assertive. So
Jesus, you remember things too long.
Yeah, well, I was curious, you know.
Yeah, well, it's probably true.
Yeah, well, I didn't, you know, I got to say, when I grew up, I never saw you really back down. So that was something.
No, I don't back down very often. And I'll be damned if I'm going to back down to this government or whatever in the hell we've got.
So when are we going to see each other again, do you think?
Well, I guess when you come to see me, because I can't go anywhere. And I can't see it changing.
Yeah, I'm not very happy about that.
No, I'm not neither. But they got to live with me too.
Yeah, I know. I'll come up. I got my tour routing pretty soon.
Yep.
I'll figure it out to come up.
Good.
Got anything else you want to say? What's the best relationships you've ever had in your life?
The best relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess for me, your mother, you, Bon, Joel.
Yeah, well, you know, in our culture, kids, they get a bad rap, you know. But one thing, if you're careful, you can have the best relationships you've ever had in your life with your kids. That's really something. The thing is, they pay you back for, you know, people think of kids as this, like, interruption in their life or an inconvenience or...
No.
No. That's not right. They're the best thing that ever happens to you if you're careful.
You're right. Anyway,
Off
we
to
should
the
probably
UK.
quit.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, before we can't talk.
before we can't talk.
Yeah. Off to the UK tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we wish you luck.
Thank you.
I don't think you need it, but
Luck's
never
good.
hurts to have a little.
It's good to have some luck too. Yeah, it's going to be an incredibly exciting trip. Ridiculously exciting trip. It's
Well,
a ridiculously
keep in
privileged
touch.
trip. I will. I'll call you. I'll call you.
Yep.